Chapter 1. Origins. Today the land where the river Wensum joins the Yare near the city of Shera, no which, bears a name that hints at secrets long buried. Gressenhall, the name comes from the Old English word gressen, which means green corner. And perhaps no place in all of Britain has been a greener, more secretive corner than Gressenhall. Here, tucked away from prying eyes, lies the final resting place of King Prassatagus. His burial mound concealed the grave of a man whose story was about to be erased by the tides of war, whose life and death would soon set in motion the most dramatic uprising in Roman Britain. But who was Prassatagus, and why does this story matter? Imagine stepping back in time. You're standing in an Iron Age village. Around you, people go about their daily lives, farming, trading, crafting. Your attention is caught by a group of villagers gathered around an elder. He holds a sheepskin scroll and speaks in hushed tones. What he shares will change your understanding of your world forever. This is how knowledge spread in ancient times, not through books, but through oral tradition. Stories, poems, laws, histories, they were all memorized and passed down by bards, storytellers, and elders. Among the Iceni, there was one story above all others. It was the story of their origins, their true beginnings. Unfortunately, this particular story wasn't recorded by the Romans or by modern historians. We don't know what tales they told around those fires, or what myths informed their beliefs. But scattered clues and archaeological findings, Roman accounts, and linguistic studies have allowed us to piece together a partial picture of the Iceni creation narrative. The key to unlocking this story is something called the Goguryeo book. Okay? Maybe not that one specifically, but a book. Somewhere out there in academic circles exists a collection of ancient Iceni folklore, sadly yet to be discovered or translated. Our current research indicates that the Iceni likely had a myth similar to the Irish creation narrative. In this kind of narrative, the world begins in darkness and water. There is a battle between the forces of light and darkness, good and evil. And finally, there is a separation of land and sea. Light brings forth a new generation. The hero couple then populates the world, bringing order and culture. It sounds epic, because it is. These creation stories weren't just mythology. They were a way of organizing the world, explaining nature, and giving meaning to human experience. The Iceni creation narrative is one of several British myths that may have played a role in the cultural memory of the Iceni and other tribes. However, these stories didn't exist in isolation. They were part of a broader web of Celtic folklore, stretching from Ireland to northern France, with motifs shared across the continent. As archaeologist Barry Cunliffe notes, the Celtic world was richly mythological, a testament to the enduring power of storytelling. And yet, despite the richness of their traditions, much of their heritage remains hidden from view, waiting to be uncovered. Now, if only we could ask those elders, hear their stories firsthand, learn the myths that shaped the Iceni worldview. Sadly, that's impossible. Yet their legacy echoes in their art, their rituals, their daily life. Each artifact a whisper from the past, each archaeological find a step closer to understanding. Even without the written word, their story unfolds through tangible traces of their existence. Meanwhile, back in Roman Britain, a delegation from Rome had arrived to deliver a message. King Prassatagus had been proclaimed king of the Iceni by the Roman Empire. He was officially Rome's client king, and with that title came both opportunity and obligation. Like his father and predecessors, Prassatagus owed nominal allegiance to the Romans, paying tribute and providing auxiliaries for the Roman army. In exchange, he retained control over the Iceni and could keep the wealth and power within his own domain. But this delicate balance wouldn't last long. One historian has described the Roman occupation of Britain as a sort of game of musical chairs. When one tribe went down, another got the chance to rise up. So what made the Iceni stand out? Why did Rome anoint Prassatagus as king? The answer lies in the very nature of the Iceni state. The Iceni operated as an elective monarchy. Unlike many contemporary societies, the Iceni throne wasn't hereditary. The king wasn't born to the role, he was elected. The community selected their leader based on merit, status, and wisdom. If you were related to previous monarchs, sure, that helped. But if you weren't worthy, your lineage wouldn't save you. This system, however, created a problem for Rome. Normally, when Rome subjugated a new region, they installed a puppet ruler, someone loyal and compliant who would do their bidding. But the Iceni weren't keen on puppets. They wanted autonomy. So here's what happened. Rome decided to turn the Iceni system against itself. They agreed to make the next Iceni king whoever they deemed fit, effectively placing Rome in charge of choosing their own leaders. In a brilliant stroke of manipulation, Rome granted the kingship to Boudicca, a man with strong ties to the Roman elite, someone who understood the game of Roman politics. By making Boudicca king, Rome ensured that their interests would be represented at the heart of the Iceni state. They essentially bought off one of the most powerful tribes in eastern Britain, creating a buffer between themselves and any potential unrest. But this arrangement, like so many others, was destined to fail. In many ways, Boudicca embodied the essence of Iceni independence. He ruled as a client king, nominally allied with Rome, yet fiercely protective of his people's interests. His strategies were subtle, balancing between the old and the new, trying to forge a path of coexistence. He used Roman infrastructure to his advantage, Roman roads to move his armies, Roman buildings to house his administration. But he never compromised on his principles. He fought to preserve Iceni land, to protect his people's traditions. When push came to shove, proved willing to defy Rome. Once, when a Roman governor levied new taxes on the Iceni, Boudicca took action. He refused to pay and rallied other British kings to his cause. Eventually, the governor backed down. In that moment, Boudicca was a folk hero, the champion of the common man. Now, let's rewind back to the year 60 CE, where a young girl named Boudicca watched her world change. She saw her father, King Boudicca, ride into the town of Camulodunum, today's Colchester, to meet with Roman officials. She must have thought it would be a routine meeting, another day in the life of her royal father, but she was wrong. Instead, she witnessed a confrontation, a clash between cultures, between tradition and occupation. Her father, the respected leader of the Iceni, was publicly humiliated by Roman officials. They stripped him naked, flogged him, and forced him to watch as they seized his lands and gave them to Roman supporters. In that moment, Boudicca's childhood ended. The innocence of her life was shattered. This wasn't just about politics, it was personal. And from that day forward, she plotted revenge. Now fast forward to a D66, the stage is set for revolt. Rome had gone too far this time. They had crossed the line. When Boudicca died in late 60 or early 61, leaving his kingdom to his widow, Rome's grip on the Iceni tightened. Boudicca, the queen of the Iceni, was determined to fight back. She became the rallying point for the oppressed, a symbol of defiance against Roman tyranny. Her anger resonated with the conquered people of Britain. It's under her leadership, the Iceni and several other tribes rebelled. Their armies rose, uniting in a common cause, ending decades of Roman supremacy. The Iceni had thrown their hat in the ring of Roman occupation, and Boudicca stood at the center of it all, a warrior queen ready to lead her people to freedom. Now, hit pause to consider what the Iceni faced. These were not just ragtag rebels. They were facing the might of the Roman Empire, an army with legions, logistics, and discipline unmatched by most of their contemporaries. Yet the Iceni stood firm. Their motivation, their cause, was just. They weren't fighting for conquest. They were fighting for freedom, for the right to exist. Tragically, the revolt failed. Despite their courage and determination, the Iceni lost. It was a devastating blow, not just for them, but for all of Britain. But their legacy remained. They showed that even the mightiest empire could be challenged, that even the darkest times could be overcome with courage and unity. They were the Iceni, and their story was just beginning. Join me tomorrow for Chapter 2 of our series, where we'll explore the rise of Queen Boudicca and the fiery rebellion that shook the Roman Empire to its core. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Together we'll bring history to life.